Hey guys, did you know that God has a plan for a just world? It's God's plan, because God is just. Okay, that's fine. What does justice mean? We've got to know what justice is. We want to know what social justice is. So the best way to understand what justice is to give to someone else, another person, what is owed to them by right, what they have a right to receive. In other words, to be fair to respect another person's right. So how are we going to do that in our lives? Well, first of all, we have to be, as Christians, just to God. That's where we start. Because God has created us. God's given us everything. He's created us for a purpose. He loves us. He's done all this to us. Now, if we ignore God and we ignore all that, well, that's not fair. That's not just. We've got to be just to God. So that means that's why we say our prayers. That's why in the Diocese of Wilcannia-Forbes we have churches. So we have masses where people can come and be just to God by adoring God, worshipping God, praying to God. That's why we preach the gospel. That's why we try to get people, encourage people to keep the commandments of God, to do the will of God, to be like Jesus in the world, because that's fair, that's just, because God's given us so much. All He asks of us in return is to love Him, honour Him, keep His commandments. So that's one way that the Diocese of Wilcannia-Forbes really starts off with the basis for social justice in our diocese, Western New South Wales. So it does that in two ways. Practically, on the personal level, individuals, by preaching, by praying, encouraging people to be generous. People like you, people like me. Because we want to follow Jesus, we are generous, we love the poor, we reach out to those in need. We're watching to see where injustice is. If someone is being left out or excluded or picked on or bullied and those sorts of things, to actually see that and actually do something about it. Not just say, oh, they're getting bullied and that's unfortunate. No, we've got to do something where we see something is wrong, something is unjust. What can we do about it? Sometimes the only thing we might be able to do is pray for that person. Pray for that situation. If we can actually do something, that's even better. But if we can't do anything, pray for that person, that unjust situation may change. And we can see that in the diocese. You know, we have donations for the poor, for example, for missions, for Caritas, and so forth. People can actually give, individuals, and do things to help people. Then we have the society. Another word for the society is the common good. You know, our whole civilization, if you like, our whole communities, whether they're in our little towns, or in our state, in our country, and then the big ones, the world. So what does the Church do, Wilcannia-Forbes, to help in that social justice? Well, talking to governments, talking to even mayors, talking to people in authority, telling them where there is injustice and encouraging them to change it, to do something to end that injustice. We do that quite a lot. Like at the moment in our diocese, the Diocese of Wilcannia-Forbes does a lot with homeless people and does a great deal, especially through Catholic Care, which is an organisation set up by the diocese for social justice to help those that are vulnerable and cannot help themselves, to be the hands of Christ in our diocese. Okay, so they do it, and they do a lot of lobbying towards government to help change things and make it easier for people. We've got organisations like St Vincent de Paul in our diocese, which also really works hard to help people. And so you've got individuals that go and join St Vincent de Paul to help others, but as an organisation, They're a very big organisation. They also can help change the government, the society, to have people more compassionate towards the vulnerable and those that are exploited. Even schools, you know, in our diocese. Social justice here. You're listening to this video. So even our schools there are helping and training and encouraging our students to think about someone else, not just about themselves, to try and see Christ in other people and not just see it, not just talk about it, but do something about it, to watch for where things and situations are not fair, where someone is being treated in a way that Jesus would not want, and do something about it. To do is so important, because if everyone in the world did something about the injustice in the world, you know, it'd all go. People would have enough to eat. It's often greed, selfishness that actually creates the problems that people then are exploited and become vulnerable. So it encourages us to do something about it. So that's basically how the diocese and how the church works through this area of New South Wales, and you're a part of that. So you individual, the church is just individuals together working as the body of Christ, but you guys, every time you see someone out in a playground that's upset, crying, or they've been bullied or something, you go and console them, you go and talk to them, you go and reach out to them. Hey, you're the church working in your school, in your playground, here and now. You are the church. Never forget that. So we do all that. I do my bit up here as a bishop, and the organisations, Catholic Care and St Vinny's, do their work, but they're made up of individuals. We are like you, and you do your bit, whatever you can do each day. Do one little thing, that's really good. Reach out to someone and do something for someone to lift them up instead of pushing them down. God bless you.